Hey guys, VSIC here. Now that thumbnail was a little bit better than the last one, okay? But moving on. So today I'm going to talk a bit about just what can happen to you when you try to get laid too much. And I've already kind of talked about why, sex is overrated and, why stop trying to get laid all the time and blah, blah, blah. Basically trying to live the dream that we basically all had growing up as young adults, right? Well, the thing is, in the past, of course, as we were all taught when we were young, right, that sex was the best thing ever. Well, after a few years of trying to, of course, quote unquote, get laid and, live the dream that I'd say pretty much any straight to, I would say pretty much any guy to even a fair amount of women kind of have, and it turned out being overrated. It was fun. Don't get me wrong, it was fun, and I would want to have sex again probably one day. But just the notion that sex is the best thing ever is just taking it a little far, I think, in my opinion. Of course, you can state your opinion and think that sex is the best thing ever, but if you ever said that to me, I would almost wonder if you have ever gotten laid in your entire life, especially when I didn't even ask about your sex life. But moving on from that, of course. So, what are the things that can happen to you while trying to get laid? Maybe just a little bit too much. Well, in this oversexed, society that we are living in right now, one of the reasons are, how should I say this? One thing I've noticed that I just think is so ironic is how many younger adults, especially, are trying to show off how much they get laid. And the reason why they're doing this is because they're trying to flex their ego muscle, is what they're trying to do. Even if you didn't ask them about how much sex they have or their sex life in general, these people continue to try and show off as if their life depends on it. And they sometimes will even continue to act like they need sex this bad or something, which also isn't a very good thing to note, but some people will say stuff like that. They just act like if they didn't have sex, like they would die or something, or they would go to hell or something. Like if they didn't have sex, they wouldn't have a ticket to go to heaven or something. I mean, or something bad would happen. I don't know what would actually happen. I haven't experienced anything bad happening to me because of my sex life, or even even when I haven't had sex in over 5 years now. Nothing bad has happened to me. I'm completely healthy, or healthy enough. I just need to lose some weight, etc. And so this notion that we have to get laid to live, just sometimes it just makes me laugh, and also because I keep on hearing it from especially younger adults. But you see, when you're like that, you're in a constant stress and pressure of sex. And that's one of the reasons why it's so overrated to try and get laid so much, is because you're constantly being fucking pressured with people that don't even care about you, to be quite frank. I mean, just think about it. If all you're worried about is sex all the damn time, and the only thing that the people around you are worried about is sex and flexing their muscle with their ego, I mean, what's that going to lead to? And I'm of course, I'm just going to let you answer that question. Is what the hell is that going to lead to? Well, in short, it's not going to be good. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be around those people for long. I mean, that's just what happens when people don't care about you. Is they just do shit to you because they don't give a crap about you. They leave you stranded in places. They do things to benefit themselves, even if it's something that then doesn't really benefit them that much, or they might just do it because they thought it was funny. I mean, just, is it really worth being around people like that? And I'll give you the answer. No. No, it's not worth being around people like that. Just take it from me. I know from experience. I even, again, my friend Tyler, who was also one of my party friends, he used to get laid, or I would say attempt to get laid all the time. Now, on average, he probably got laid a bit more than a lot of guys did, but even he wasn't really able to accomplish, getting laid every day to every week. That's just how it is. And it even got to a point where he was even trying to hit on my mom one day. And then my mother got pissed off, and she told him that they needed to start bringing women over so that she wasn't the only woman there, so that all these guys were hitting on her while she's married to my father. At least at the time. They're divorced now, but I think I get the point. But, yeah, it's just, it gets so toxic over sex. You know what I mean? It can cause a lot of issues. It could break up a lot of friendships. Just like, obviously, it broke my friendship with Tyler, as I was just talking about, and so on. In fact, if anything, you would almost wonder if sex in general was just a disease. At least too much sex anyway. I mean, it's just a fucking disease, man. It just leads to one thing after another. I mean, especially, let's say, if you have sex with somebody else's girlfriends or a girl that somebody else liked. Because I remember I used to think that everybody would think I was cool and fun if I was getting laid all the time, right? But the truth of the matter is, when I started, getting in really good shape, and I started getting women to like me and all that, lots of times, actually, either the men would get jealous of me, or they would be afraid of me. And I actually found it even harder to make friends, especially male friends, because of that. Because either the guys were afraid that I was going to get the girl that they wanted, or get them first, whatever. Or, yeah, they would sometimes get jealous of me and say shit behind my back and get very toxic about it. And lots of times, actually, there are plenty of times I wasn't even hitting on these women for sex. I mean, just the notion that these women were liking me, and it made it look like they were, liking me, It made it so, again, these men would get jealous or they would get afraid. And it just made it so hard to make friends. I just don't even know how long anybody could live like that, to be frank with you, without being able to make hardly any friends like that. Now, and another thing that I would ask anybody, I mean, especially if it's somebody that's just doing it to flex their ego muscle, is what are you going to get out of it? What are you going to get out of having sex with all these people and trying to flex your ego, is what I might ask. I'll give you the fast answer. It's nothing. You're not going to get anything out of it, actually. Now, it's reasonable to think, sometimes these people might just want to have sex to, enjoy themselves, to get pleasure out of the experience. And that can help. It could also help make people happier, etc. But this notion to just go after, women to get laid just for an ego is just silly. I mean, it's very silly. I mean, I think it's silly because there's just more important things to worry about than just flexing your ego all the damn time. I mean, for instance, I mean, yesterday I had to go to work yesterday. There was an issue at work yesterday, and I had to stand and be on my feet for like, I don't know, like 13, 14 hours with no fucking break at work just because we had to get some ads out. Or how about, what if you had some kids and a wife, and you had to go to, let's say, your kid's soccer play. I mean, are you going to miss your kid's soccer play to try and flex your ego and be an asshole like that? Or how about this? How about going to somebody's funeral? Or how about just many other things, man? I mean, I just think it's so funny how just more and more so as I grow up, I see more of these people and young adults just acting like sex is like the one and only thing. And it isn't. Now, of course, my friend Tyler, over time, trying to, of course, like I said, live the dream, well, he ended up making a lot of enemies, is what happened. He was trying to be the big partier, getting laid kind of guy. I would say he's probably one of the best examples I know, because he was probably the one that was trying to do it the most out of all my friends growing up. He ended up making a lot of enemies, and what he ended up having to do was he had to make an excuse to go into the army just so he could get out of town, is what he actually had to do, because he didn't really have a lot of money either. So he ended up having to go to the army, and he obviously didn't have a very good experience there either when he went to the army. But, I mean, just so you guys know, I mean, again, it's just overrated. And besides the fact that some of these companies are trying to sell a product to people over sex, it makes sense to me because businesses need to make money. But at the same time, just this notion that's, yeah, I think you guys get the point. I don't know about you guys. That being said, I'll end this video. I'll see you guys later.